Sessions with Mary Jane. I am your host, Jordan Freed, and I am here with a multi-talented artist, Cat London.
Hey, Jordan.
She is not only a musician, which is how I was brought into her orbit. She is coming to the Williams Center on November 4th, so get your tickets to that if you haven't already gotten those. But she is also an actress. She is also a musical improviser and comedian. Welcome to the show, Cat.
Thank you for having me. And it was so cool to learn that you did musical improv at one point, too.
Oh, yeah. Now my band, or my troupe,
it
that
is.
I'm calling a band
No,
now.
I say the same thing. I've actually been starting to call it a band.
Yeah.
So it's weird that you slipped.
Yeah, I think some people don't know what to make of musical improv, and there's different types of musical improv, because you have, like, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Musical improv,
right.
which is very different than, like,
yeah, like
off book or something like that. Yeah, but duly noted, may rise from the ashes eventually again. We have some great times when we practice. We're just moving quicker and quicker apart. We have our pianist in the D.C. area, two of our members in the like Williamsburg, Virginia area.
Gosh.
A couple members are teachers spread out throughout the Hudson Valley in New Jersey.
I've got some accompanists for you. Don't worry about it.
Oh, nice. We'll bring that together.
Nice.
What's your like musical improv usually? You do it as Cat in Vegas?
Cat in Vegas is the troupe. We are, goodness gracious, we started in 2008 or 2007. Wow. 2007, I think. And we've been going since then. And it's just the duo. So we both make up the lyrics on the spot, but I actually am on piano and guitar. And then we often invite audience members up. So there comes a time in the night where we say, like, all right, I need to be hands-free so that my brain can work better than it has been. And in any audience, you'll find a musician. And they come on up to the stage and they just play.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's just the two of us. We don't really do what we call each other or call ourselves is kind of like a band, like just a duo. Whereas like standard musical improv is like very musical, like musical theater-esque.
Yeah.
It's less that and more just like short form set to song, but like singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like
that's super cool.
Our tagline is, "Are you ready to soft rock?"
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you what types of venues have you played? Like that's a long time to have a little troupe. You must have been all over the world with that a little bit.
Yeah, the furthest we've been is Toronto. So we played the big city. What is it called? It's a festival up in one of their comedy clubs up there. Why can't I see it all the time? But that was a festival that we did. Then we did a festival in D.C. and a lot of Philly stuff. We've been kind of brought up and nurtured in Philly, even though I live in we both live in New Jersey. But of course, we've hit the New York scene, People's Improv Theater. It's a lot of comedy theaters. Yeah. Sometimes it's burlesque theaters.
Cool.
Sometimes it's music venues. What I find is that the more I combine my original music shows with my improv shows, the more I really don't care what the venue is as long as it's the right vibe. Like, it can be the weirdest room ever and it's appropriate for what we're giving. And more importantly, for like an act like that, Cat in Vegas, the audience needs to be able to receive it, and improv well, so you know that people need to hear what is happening on stage, because often you're not mic'd.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and you're making it up on the spot, so like it's hard enough to get your fellow improvisers to hear you and understand what you're saying. If you don't get the audience, they're going to be so lost.
Totally.
Like, what's going on?
Totally. But we've done that act. We've done weddings.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
We've done 2 weddings. We play all over. Yeah.
What's an improvised song that you've done at a wedding?
Oh my God. Oh, I don't remember. Okay, so I don't remember any verbatim, but sometimes we would make a song up about the couple.
Nice.
That's kind of standard, but other than that, we just take a regular word from the audience and we go from there.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So let's rewind a little bit. Have you
Sure.
been in Jersey your whole life?
My whole life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is the most wonderful thing about New Jersey to you?
Wow. The people, I think. I'm from Monmouth County, so it's like a big surf county. I don't surf. My father surfs. I used to kind of surf. I used to pretend to try to kind of surf. So it's like this, like you get the stigma of Cali that's like, yeah, man. So you get like the hustle and bustle of New York, but combined with this like kind, relaxed, welcoming vibe right there in Monmouth County. And I just love it. Also, the traffic's not as bad as North Jersey, so...
No, not at all.
rock on.
So you grew up kind of like a beach gal, or...
Yeah, I wouldn't...
Beach adjacent?
You know what? Beach adjacent is the perfect word for me, because I was never like mussels and cockle shells, and like, I wasn't... Like, I didn't have my hair braided with, like, beads in it or anything. Like, I never, like, got into that surfing mode. But I was always at the beach. And it was just part of our family. My father had a boat. Nice. And he grew up right by the beach. So we always had that kind of, that nautical love. One of my favorite places in the United States is Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
And we would frequent there just because my aunt has a place up there, so we would go, and it was magic. It is magic. I still go. Whenever I'm on tour, I try to hit Newport or the vicinity. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Did you have a big family? Did you have a lot of siblings?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh no, I didn't have a lot of siblings, but my aunts and uncles, there were 7 of them.
Oh wow.
And then my grandfather had 7 of them. That's my mother's side. My father's side, 5 of them. 5? I don't know. 5. It's a big Italian family.
Nice.
But
nice.
It's just me and my sister.
Cool.
They're like less and less children. But I do have a lot of cousins, so that's always just mwah.
Sometimes that's better to have a bunch of aunts and uncles and cousins,
right,
and then just be the 2.
Dude, you get way more. You get way more presents that way, right? All right, I'm looking for gifts from my family.
So when did your gift start? When did you start getting into music and the creative world? Yeah,
I think maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. I think everyone's born with it. Just the spark, and I think my spark kind of led me to the fuse of like drawing and like plays, costumes, music in general, because my uncles were really involved in music. My father and my mother constantly had music playing in the house. And just in public school, like my elementary school days, immediately enrolled into. Have you ever done chime choir? They're like these. I can't describe them. Every music teacher on earth right now is gonna laugh at me. They're these like hollowed out metal things that gong, because they have like a slapper on the back of them.
Okay.
And you hit them, and it's just this beautiful chime sound.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a glockenspiel, I guess, kind of, but you do it with your hands.
Wow.
And when we were kids, they were like, here, you're going to do this, and you're going to very early on read music in elementary school. It was so cool. So we had to like read along. I don't know if it was like real music. It was probably some sort of like semi-real music.
Yeah.
And you just knew when to, you learn motion, you learn movement, rhythm, and timing. And there were like 15 kids, and then school choir, stuff like that. I wasn't, as a kid, well, that was 2 separate thoughts that happened at once. I didn't hit like school plays until the 5th grade, because they didn't offer them until the 5th grade. But as far as like performing, like at home, always putting plays on. My cousin would dress me up in costumes that made no sense. A lion's mask with a tutu, lip syncing to The Circle of Life. I would lip sync to Paula Abdul with Pretty Pretty Princess board game jewelry stuck to my bangs. They had these funny clip-on earrings. Like they were pretty dope, actually. But I'd put them in my hair, and that was the motion of the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were the first instruments that you like really took a liking to? Was it piano or guitar?
Guitar.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think the first instrument that I ever loved was the voice, but I was never taught that that was an instrument.
Yeah.
So I guess in retrospect, that was the first one. But then guitar, mostly because of like the tastes of music in my family, a lot of rock. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what types of bands were you into when you were a kid?
Oh, well, okay. Well, before I had my own identity, I was mooching off the tastes of my parents, which was very varied. We would have, I'll just run the gamut here and name them all. Yanni, the Nutcracker, Cats the Musical, In Excess, Meatloaf,
they like grand music,
like metal, like some like a little bit of Journey, obviously Paula Abdul. It was like pop and rock for sure. Three Dog Night, Little River Band. There's so many. But then as I like shaped my own tastes, it was like Donna Lewis, Alanis Morissette, Jewel, and then eventually like Ryan Adams, Damien Rice. Damien Rice now, after all my phases, is my favorite artist, Damien Rice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. When did you, like, was songwriting always easy for you, or did it always come to you like, I want to make this, I know what I feel, I know what I like here?
Yeah, whether or not it was good or not, the answer to that question is yes. Yes, it did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Word.
It was, yeah.
Did you always, like, is your actual name Cat London? Did you
No.
your stage name?
It's so funny that you asked that because oh my gosh, it's so funny you asked that, Jordan. Just today, I'm driving to my yoga class, and I look up, obviously I'm looking up, but I focus on the truck in front of me, and it said Cosentino's. And Cosentino is my last name.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what the hell is going, I flipped out. I was like, that's it. I don't want to go by London anymore. I'm doing Cosentino. It was like a beacon of light. It was beautiful. I saw it in all its glory. I complimented the font on the truck, and then I saw the website. It was just Cosentino.com, and then I got angry because I know I couldn't have Cosentino.com. I was like, what is happening? But the origin of Cat London is no one could pronounce my last name, even if they were reading it front like this with a piece of paper in front of their. Absolutely no one could pronounce it. And every time I say that, by the way, everybody goes, well, I could have pronounced it. I'm like, go ahead, try me. Get on a mic and pronounce the last name. I guess it just wound up being a different last name. So when I was recording in Woodstock in like 2008, 9, 10 era,
nice. Okay.
there's an artist graveyard. There's an artist cemetery where all artists are buried. And I went shopping. I was like, I need a name. So we went through all the headstones, and there were 2 headstones. It was between Catherine Castle, and there was just one stone that said London, and we just kind of decided Cat London is pretty freaking easy to spell. But then everybody was like, is it spelled with a C or a K?
Then it has to come out.
Then it has to C.
The brand is born.
The brand is born. Yeah.
So was that like your first solo project that you went up to Woodstock for, or you had been doing things?
So it was, that was like the first record. We
so
did like 5 or 6 songs. I forget what it was. Me and the guitar player who I was playing with at the time.
Nice. What was it like to perform in such a hallowed area and just a historic area and just so much art going on now? Like, I'm very aware of it now, like that kind of Woodstock, Rosendale kind of area.
Right. Well, everybody who was my senior, it meant a lot more to them because of just when the time happened, when that became hallowed ground. And but I felt the ghosts. I felt all of the ghosts, and that was what was important to me, and it did fuel me. It made me feel very welcomed and held. There was a few kind of like vagabond musicians in the area, like that, just like street wanderers, who I just brought my guitar to town one evening, and I just strapped it around my neck because we were staying at a studio, Robert Fraza, down the street, and we had been performing at the Bearsville Theater up there.
Oh, cool.
We just took a stroll, and then all of a sudden there were like 5 dudes just like playing music around me with like bongos and like I think another guy had a guitar, I forget, and then one guy like had nothing, but he was just with us, and no one knew each other's names. And I think the beauty of that town is that they always know the history of, you know, how encouraging the music was. And it still is. There's so many talented musicians up there. I actually saw Donna Lewis up there.
Oh, wow.
Fulfilling a childhood dream.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the good thing about those like just historic areas is like everybody moves to that area either with a knowledge or they learn very quickly. Like I went to school down in New Orleans, and it's just like same vibes where it's like,
wow.
oh, there's so much music history here.
Yeah.
There's so much attention to art. Why do you live here if you don't like the arts?
Yeah,
Why, like there's
totally.
a reason to be here.
You know what? That's what it was. Everybody was your friend before you got to know them, and it was that kind of feeling. And I learned more about the history of the town the more I was there. Obviously, you know.
Yeah.
You can't be somewhere, not know the territory.
Did you do the road at all? You toured a little bit?
Yeah, I've toured. I've done the air and the road.
Nice.
I have not played yet overseas. I've played in California. I was working with a Grateful Dead band, actually. It was
nice.
Cool. We got to play with Bob Weir.
Oh, wow.
It
That's
was
sick.
so sick. It was before the John Mayer stint that he did.
Yeah.
And as far as road, I love to go up to Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Indianapolis was awesome. We hit Muncie, Indiana with the band, the full band. That's the band that you'll see on November 4th.
Great.
And all the way down to Washington, D.C. And if I'm forgetting any other states, sorry, guys. But most recently, I was on tour in August and March.
Nice.
Hit Boston to D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was one of the weirdest venues you've ever played?
Oh, my God. Oh, I should have come. You know what? This is such a great question. And I always can top it. Like once I get in my car afterwards, I can always top the weirdest venue. I guess I got to go. See that? Oh, it's going to be too much radio silence here.
Oh, it's all good.
I have one in mind, and it wasn't a weird venue, it was a grateful venue, but what was very funny about it, and he would love, the owner would love to hear this, I'm sure, is Galactic Theater, most recently in Warren, Rhode Island.
Oh, cool.
You walk in there, and it's kind of like the room that we're having this podcast in now, very like indie-looking, underground feel. He himself is a musician, so he's got this like rockabilly tone, and he's like got this growl, and he opens up the evening, and it could not be could not be more different than my genre.
Yeah.
So it was like so just the experience of that night. He went up, then I went on, and he said, "Do you want the real Galactic intro?" And I was like, and I was already with him. He had handed me a candy bar. He's like, "I don't have anything to give you. Do you want anything?" I'm like, No, I'm good. I'm not hungry. He goes, "I need to give you something." He gives me this oversized candy bar. So already, like, we're just chumming it. We're having a great time. He's like, "Do you want the Galactic intro?" And I don't know what he's talking about. And I said, yes, as an improviser. I was like, absolutely. And he played this loud, cinematic, spacey, beautiful, aggressive musical intro that he has pre-recorded that's like, "Welcome to Galactic Theater." But it's like 15 seconds long. Like, it takes time. It takes up space. And it's this very cute stage. It's not a big stage. There's no front curtain, but it's this wonderful attention, this weirdness. There's an Oompa Loompa face on the back of the stage. It's very it's like trippy as hell.
Yeah.
And then what I loved about that whole night was, even though my songs were like a little like lower in tempo for like a raunchy Wednesday drinking night.
Yeah.
Everybody, for some reason, clapped after like they would talk during my set, but clap after my songs. And I knew that this kind of audience, because we were also joking with each other a lot, they were with me every second. But the whole thing was an oxymoron, if I'm using that metaphor correctly. Like, it just didn't add up, but everything added up perfectly.
Yeah.
And it was such a fun time, and I can't wait to go back there one day. Yeah.
You said it was a little bit of a trippy space. Have you ever dabbled in psychedelics?
I never have. I know a little bit about, like, just through my own journeys, through, like, I don't know if you've heard of Joe Dispenza, but my own, like, quantum physics journeys, and my gurus that I look up on YouTube. I know a little bit about, like, ayahuasca and psychedelics.
Well, let's shift a little bit. What are your quantum journeys, your quantum physics journeys?
Sure. Well, after hitting rock bottom during COVID lockdown, I said, I need more out of my life. As a friend of mine just reminded me of, you're here for a long time, but here for a good time. Or not even, there's no buts. I'm here for a long time, and I'm here for a good time. And during COVID, I was like, let's go. I just want everything to be love and not suffering. And my drummer, Anthony Frida, who you'll see November 4th, he goes, guys, I just read this book. I had this book. I really think you'd like it. We're like, oh, really? And he described that it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Oh, and that is precisely what he does. He talks on a little bit scientifically and spiritually, but the very apparent addiction that we have to the identities that we're like it's set. We think it's set in stone, and the identities of our old selves, basically. So he's bringing us into new environments of love, gratitude, and just kind of looking to the now. And then henceforth looking forward to the future instead of trying to anticipate the future. It's not the best way I can describe it, but I highly recommend Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And most recently, have you ever heard of The Courage to Be Disliked?
No.
Yo, that book, very cool, very cool. Yeah.
What's it all about?
That is about, I don't want to mess this up. I'm not a touring author yet. It is about it's about diminishing hierarchy structures in your brain. It's about thinking you're enough, and therefore you can have the courage to fall in love and be reminded of the things that you were endowed with in love when you were, let's just say, a younger version of yourself. Before the stresses and the pressures and the not enoughness of the world messed with your head. And
wow.
that's a little. Usually, I'm better at describing that book to my friends. I'm usually like 200% better at describing that. But that's like, I don't know. I'm feeling a little trippy right now. So
it's all good. It's all good.
It's the basement.
Do you read a lot in general?
Not a lot. I read when I do.
Nice.
I read when it hits me to read, but as far as books are concerned.
Yeah.
But as far as like intaking poems, like poetry, I would say often. I read poetry pretty often, and I write poetry pretty often.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you see your poetry more as like songwriting, or do you have it like as a separate like arm of your self is like your poetry?
Sure. They are now. If you asked me 5 years ago, I would say, yeah, definitely separate branches, just because of all the people telling me to pick one.
Yeah. Pick
a thing. You can't be a comedian. You can't be a musician. You can't. You seem scattered. But now it's all the same thing. And my husband Rich has always encouraged me to combine everything. Yeah. But when it comes from, he's also my keyboard player. Right. And I play in his band as well. Nice. So when it's like so close to home, there's like a deluge of encouragement but there's also more doubt. I'm like, well, you love me, so of course you want me to be all these things and want me to be happy. It sounds like I'm asking for torture. Of course I want happiness. But it was when the persistence of my drummer, Anthony, he's like, why don't, like, you should really do the musical improv during a regular original set. And that was a difficult transition for me to say yes to. For so long, I had kept them separate. And I got to tell you, it was going upstream. It was such a battle to deny parts of myself during other parts of myself that were being seen by an audience. Like, hi, I've got all these heavy songs, but you also don't know, unless it's the banter in between the songs, that I'm actually who I am, which is also someone who loves comedy and has empathy and etc. But he really encouraged that, and now every single time we go out as a band, we perform an improv song.
Nice.
And but I have to express gratitude to the band, Anthony, Paul, O'Keefe, bass player, and my husband Rich. He has totally scooped me up and, you know, blown me to the wind to be carried countless times, and it's been a beautiful journey of music with him.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I feel like musicians and artists have very non-traditional schedules, so anytime you could bring your partner into that schedule, it's good, because you don't ever see them if that's the case.
Very right. Oh yeah, yeah, totally. You like it just got real in here, because that was a problem. That was gonna be a problem in my head. But we do music all the time together, and I often, if you see a Cat in Vegas show, there'll come a point in the night where I'll just put my husband on piano for
nice.
like 2 or 3 songs. If no one's volunteering, you know, he'll just go on. He's performed as an accompanist many times. It's so cool.
Yeah, very
really
much
grateful.
so.
Yeah.
When it comes to like musical improv, how did you learn that? Was it just coming from like your musical perspective and you were like, oh, I can make a funny song? Or did you like actually go through like specific training to do it in a systematic way?
Right. No system. I'll tell you how it happened. I was really hitting the singer-songwriter vibe in college, as well as musical theater. I was choreographing and performing. But I was doing short form and long form improv in my college troupe called the Mixed Signals.
Where'd you go?
TCNJ.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes, and my friend Vegas was in that troupe. And then it just kind of randomly, one night I was in the basement of my friend's house. I was playing my own music, just songs I've written. And then he started making up new lyrics to the sound beds that I had already created for my songs. So it became like, not parodies of my songs, because we definitely didn't borrow the melody, but we just started like with what I'm not an extremely skilled instrumentalist. Like I'm not a classically trained person, so I can't like, I'm not like all jazzy. So we just kind of stuck for a while with like the music that I had, and we just kind of workshopped that for a little bit. And then very unprepared, as an unprepared goal of ours, we went on stage and got booked at the college to like do the Rathskeller there and just do like a comedy night. It went fine, I guess, but we kind of taught ourselves. And Vegas kind of likes to sing. He doesn't do musicals or anything, but he'll go, I'm not great. But I think he's great. He's a dynamite improviser. Holy mackerel. So it's like this very weird, by itself kind of genre we created.
Yeah. And
then it wasn't until later that like someone was going to a free class at the Magnet up in New York, which is a comedy school. And they're like, do this musical theater, like this Freezies class. It was like 2 hours long or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like I learned how to work with like a bigger group to create a musical and build on those kind of skill sets. That's where I learned the game Bad Rap. Have you ever had to? Actually, no, wait. I didn't learn Bad Rap there. Vegas taught Bad Rap to me from a different class that he took. But yeah, there's so many options.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What type of inspiration did you draw from Philly, from your time there? You said that you started there, kind of.
I just have so much gratitude for the variety shows and the burlesque performers. We headlined for Cat in Vegas headlined for 6 years at a stage that unfortunately closed down during COVID called Latage. Okay. And Latage was like a red curtain. It had the whole, that golden feel. And it was tiny. It was like a lounge, but it was a loft. Yeah. And it had a bar, and everybody was kind and sexy and fun, and we headlined. The night was shout out to Joe Gates. It was called Show Gates with Joe Gates, and it would start with him like calming the crowd and having like a receptive vibe and like describing what's about to go down, and we're safe here. And then like a stand-up would do 10 minutes. And then a burlesque would go on for 5 minutes. And then another improv troupe would go on for 20 minutes. And then the burlesque would go on for another 5 minutes. And then we would perform.
Wow.
And it was just such a cool, like, wow, doesn't art exist? Like, we all chose art tonight, and you're going to get all kinds of facets of it.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was such a dope time. And I hope to have, like, guys, the Williams Center this is immaculate. This is such a cool, this is the variety show that I miss, you know?
Yeah, there's so many things going on. We have open mics coming through here with poets and flute players. We have R&B and hip-hop concerts in our basement. We have, video game orchestras coming through.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate the curation and the mixture of arts. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, you guys are doing a bang-up job. And I'm extremely new and fresh to the scene here. But I'm so happy that I get to grace that stage in that big room. It looks dope.
Yeah. It's been a fun ride so far. I've been here a few months, but it feels like I packed like 3 years into the few months that I've been here.
Oh, that's really cool.
Just every day is a new challenge and a new exciting part of the building that I'm like, so that's what that noisy machine is doing. That is the 100-year-old like HVAC, or that is the brick that has been laid by somebody who's been dead for 80 years.
Yes. It's you just reminded me of a conversation I was having the other day. We need more theaters. The more it just, I'm biased, but I just think every town should have a theater.
Yeah.
And I think when towns don't have theaters, we forget that there's a presence and a need and a spirit. We just die if we don't see these opportunities. You have to, and the only thing, look, a theater on its own has plenty of life in it. But when something's not loved, it decays. And I think humans can breathe, like can share their oxygen with it. And that's what every theater needs.
Yeah.
And it just starts with one person. And I totally want to I don't know. That's my mission, is just to breathe life into these. I love live performance spaces. So that's kind of where my heart lies. Someone recently, because everything, I love doing sketches on social media because any outlet to get the weirdness out is perfect. And also it's just beautiful for outreach in general. People in London can enjoy your sketches. But live performance, that's where I started. And someone just reminded me, they're like, oh yeah, I hope your live performances are going great. And I hadn't spoken to this person, but the way that they, in quite some time, but the way they said that to me was like, oh, that's Kat, she loves live performance. And I'm so happy that that conveys through my action and my love and my reflection. I just want more of that.
Yeah.
Even though I can't be everywhere at one time, sometimes when I'm performing in a theater, I do feel like that theater is everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Just that one night is so great.
For sure. Like whenever you're reading like a biography or you're watching a documentary about something, you're like, this person was as great as they are because they were in a place at one time.
Yeah.
And they chose to be at a place and people chose to see them. And they were left with a memory that they kept telling their kids and their grandchildren. And then somebody decided to write a book about it or somebody had footage from it. And it's like, that is the culture. That is how you make it. And I think some people forget about it sometimes with like influencer culture. It's like, it's not just vacuous. Like there has to be people working in these spaces.
Exactly.
There has to be people paid in these spaces to make it, or else it doesn't exist. You know, like an influencer won't have anything to go to and be like,
correct.
I went to this amazing thing, come by. If like people aren't putting up the walls and like doing all of the actual work that goes into it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to have that interaction with the spaces and the walls or nature. Spaces, landscapes. I forget what I was going to say. I had a thing. It'll come up. Come up. I love talking to you.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. It's a great time so far. I'm really having a good time chatting too.
Awesome.
I saw also that you, like, obviously you said earlier we're an improviser, still are an improviser. Yeah. How much have you gotten into acting? I saw that you have a little bit of film work. Is that like a thing that you're actively pursuing? Is it just like a thing that comes up when it comes up? Do you do stage?
Oddly enough, so all the answers, actively and passively.
Yeah.
Or it comes up when it comes up, like the big things come up when they come up. But also, it's hard to say. I'm not my agent passed away a few years ago.
No,
I'm not represented. Rest in peace. And then after that, I just kind of got onto, that was during COVID. So I was already in like a weird, like rock bottom on my way up. So like peeled back all the layers, exposing the courage that I needed to do shit myself. So I wanted to like self-book and reach out to people that I have done film before. I actually, I think it was just prior to COVID, I produced a film called Scuba.
Oh, nice.
But I got really down on myself because once lockdown hit, we couldn't really because you need a ton of money to bring a film forward to the proper spaces.
Yeah.
I got really down on myself because I made it all about like funding. I don't want to get too far off the topic that you initially asked.
No, this is
which
cool.
Was I'll explain that. Because I guess we're just talking about acting in general. I got pretty down on myself thinking that things could only succeed with funding alone. Like, I know where to put, I know marketing. Let me just put the funding toward this and it'll just boom.
Yeah.
It'll take off. That's not the case. There's so many things you can do without funding. It is very discouraging when an artist is struggling to back a project because a lot of projects will fall flat.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have at least a full cup of courage to get it as far as you can. And by as far, you have to really have an intention of what you mean by far.
Yeah.
Is it far in the success of someone else's eyes? Well, like until it gets in the hands of Martin Scorsese, it's not a success. It's when your belief runs out or when you feel it waning, see if you can push just a little bit more toward, ask yourself, what else am I not doing right now without funding?
Yeah.
To bring this piece of art, to choose this piece of art over and over again. Granted, it gets exhausting to a point where you're like, I need money, I need a Kickstarter, I need a this. And then the money can give it, can provide the platform to give that art, and money's great. Money's awesome. Because what money does is it gives a larger platform for more people to fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Look, art was here already. We have to arrive to it. I always say, like, improv was here already. Music was here already. It's up to you to arrive to it. And how are you going to do that? So music needs pervasiveness, and it needs to be widespread. So don't give up until you need help, if you truly believe in something, and then keep going forward. You can always quit, but if you feel weird about quitting, it probably wasn't a great choice. And you don't necessarily have to. I used to be a perfectionist. I should say I'm unlearning perfectionism. With that said, what the structure in my mind was, if I'm not doing something full freaking throttle, and if I can't sustain full throttle, I should just quit it because I'm not doing it the way I want to be doing it. Where I'm learning now is, if you choose to do something full throttle, but you're running out of energy a little bit, you don't have to, you can just take the foot off the gas a little bit and sustain yourself. Get your energy back. You don't have to go, I have to quit improv because I need to focus on my music. Or I have to quit music because I have to focus on my improv. Or I really just want to be on the big screen. I want to be an actress. So, like, what am I doing in these indie comedy spaces? No. Do it. Fucking do it all. But you don't have to have this perfectionist mindset on it, doing it full throttle all the time. And oddly enough, once you have reached stasis with everything, it just combines and balance. There's so much balance that happens when you take your foot off the gas.
I bet.
Yeah, and it depends on the perspective. Some people are like, well, when I say foot on the gas, it means something different to me. That's great. For me, foot on the gas was my gas tank was being eaten up in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So once I started not just bulldozing everything coexisted oddly enough, in its perfect state. Everything is coming to me now. A little bit about like some woo psychedelic stuff is, now that the energy is in stasis, I can balance, not stasis, but balance. Yeah. Everything's coming to me more frequently, manifestation of it. I'm doing comedy and music and acting and poetry evenly.
Yeah, wow.
Nothing is taking hierarchy, and what The Courage to be Disliked is about is that dissolving of hierarchy in general. And that's like a good lesson for you, like ourselves. Nothing, for me, it helped to say, none of my art is taking hierarchy over the next. Nothing is superior than the other. It's just art.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and acting, it's funny, I did a lot of indie acting.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are filmmakers, which I just love working with them. They're so talented. But I've done man on the street interviews stuff in New York for like small production companies. Nothing commercial, but I did I think of one thing that you'll appreciate is a few years ago, Gary Vaynerchuk's, what is it, VaynerMedia?
Yeah.
Hired me to do this it was for General Electric lighting. So GE hired Vayner to do like a Facebook commercial. It was a 3-hour event with a 360-degree camera on a set.
Oh, wow.
And I was responsible for writing comedic songs about light bulbs. I kid you not.
Wow.
It was cool. Like, I would get a word from the audience on the Facebook page and whatever. I don't know what the words were, but I would like tie it. They would give me about 10 to 15 minutes. It wasn't improv, but it was I had to create a melody, a song, and lyrics and write them in like my little set piece using like just the environment that was, of course, lit by a bunch of General Electric lights. The new launch I think I had the relax bulb, it was called. The relax bulb. Oh, wow. So relaxing. But stuff like that. I did background work for the first time this year, nice. Which usually people start with background work and then go up from there. But I like kind of did that backwards.
Yeah, I do a lot of background work.
Do you really?
Yeah, it like for me, like I know the difference between background acting and like principal acting,
sure,
and all of that stuff. But for me, it's always good to be on set and just like see who the characters are who are like playing like behind the scenes, because like it does give you an access. Like if you're always doing background work, you know all of the film sets, and
totally
like, you might become a stand-in or something like that.
Yeah, definitely some stand-in work. Yeah,
and it's super cool if you're working with like an idol or something, you know?
Yes.
Like it's wild to be like background and see like Jim from The Office like directing, and you're like, why are you looking into the camera? Oh, it's because of that. Yeah, you're actually in charge of it right now.
I can't give anything away, but I was on set with Fred Durst from Limp.
Oh wow.
Wait.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit.
Wow. That must have been something.
It was. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie coming out. I can't wait to see if. I can't wait to see what it, like, the storyline, because they don't give you much detail. They're just like, hi, here, stand here, congratulations, goodbye, which is a vibe in and of itself, but...
Oh, definitely. You meet some of the most interesting people working backgrounds.
Oh, Lord. I'm conflicted with it all, which is why I did some of it earlier this year, and then I just took a break from casting networks. And I was like, yeah, let me just focus on the touring right now and stuff.
Yeah.
And let it present itself when it presents itself.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time we spend like hustling to try to like find an opportunity.
Yeah.
But, like the opportunity just comes when you are yourself.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Just know who you are and you make the art. Yeah. So
you're 100% right. Like way earlier this year, I think it was January, was the audition. There's a community theater by me in Red Bank, New Jersey, called Count Basie.
Oh, yeah.
But the production company is called Phoenix. And randomly, they're always on my radar, but the last show I did with them was like 8 years ago. This past January, I'm like, let me go on phoenixproductions.com or whatever it is. And don't quote me. That's not the website. I think it's like NJ. .com. But I was like, let me see what they got cooking. They had an audition. The audition notice was like right up, and the audition was that night.
Oh, wow.
How crazy. It was for Green Day. It was for American Idiot.
Oh,
Green
nice.
Day, the musical.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And I was like, shit, I don't have anything prepared. The audition was that night. I went, got called back, and I got a role.
Wow.
It was the weirdest. It was so strange. And it was my first musical back in maybe like five years, because I did this weird thing off Broadway. It was a strange thing. I was a stand-in. They gave me 2 weeks to memorize the stand-in, the lines.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was walking into, and they're like, "You're playing this person." It was like a supporting actor lead. I'm like, oh my God, I have to do all these lines in 2 weeks. I was bawling my eyes out. And they were like teaching me the choreography while on stage. It was just, it was a mess. I don't think anyone noticed, which is the beauty of theater. But and everybody supporting you. But yeah, what was I just saying before that? Oh, the musical with Count Basie. It was just what I needed. It was just what the doctor ordered. And I needed that time back to get the courage to audition again. Because that audition room is just, haywire.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very high pressure situation.
Whoa. Have you done musical theater or like stage production?
Not since I've been an adult, really. Like I did it in high school and like did sketch comedy and
oh, you
like,
did? Nice.
Comedy and stuff like that, but nothing too intense. Yeah, it's definitely in the background. I've done like staged readings and stuff like that.
Yes, done plenty of those.
Definitely on the back burner for sure, but something that is always open. I would do a musical if it was like my vibes for sure.
Yeah,
like, I
definitely.
actually did Cats in high school.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I remembered you bringing full circle because you brought that up earlier. That was what you listened to in the house.
My God, Cats is just by, I don't know. I'm just meant to have Cats be my favorite musical, but it's my favorite musical because it was my favorite musical growing up. So I can't not have it be my favorite musical now, even though there are plenty of other musicals. Evita is second in line to that, as others. All the Sondheim people are, going boo, but screw you. But yeah, Cats in high school. When I've never seen Cats done in high school, but I've known of Cats done in high schools, and I'm just like. Wait, was your high school like heavy on dance? Like, did you go to a performing arts high school?
No, we just had a very
that's crazy.
A very ambitious director.
That is so.
Who took a lot of pride being 1 hour upstate from New York and was like, I am Broadway. Like,
wow, I just as a choreographer in I'm not like crazy choreography, but like good enough for community theater choreography, I'd say. That's so much pressure, so much dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what were you? Were you in it?
I was McCavity.
No way, you're so McCavity.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so McCavity.
Yeah.
My sister right now, if she's listening, I am sitting next to McCavity, Kelly. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is like, my sister and I, my sister's 4.5 years younger than I am. We memorized the full choreography when the London recording came out, the video, and goodness gracious, McCavity, we like pretended to be Bomb Ballerina and Demeter? Whatever her name is. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy time for sure. Like, the musical before that was The Wedding Singer, which is like a pretty poppy, rocky, like neutral musical, especially like
love The Wedding Singer.
For a high school lad, like you're like musicals can be cool. And then I was like, I'm gonna quit football to do the fall play.
Oh
and
my God!
They canceled the fall play, so they had no straight play, and they were like Cats, and they were like, have fun.
wait. So to reiterate, your production of Wedding Singer got canceled.
No, that happened in the spring, and I was like, cool, I like theater now.
Yeah, and
I was like, this is my gateway to theater, is like, I was Casualty of Love, and I was like, cool, this is fun. Yeah.
Wait, were you Bobby, or what were you in Wedding Singer?
I was just like a side character. Yeah.
Okay.
The song that I was in was Casualty of Love. Yeah, I was
Casualty
like a nerd guy.
Of love. Yeah.
I was stood up by my date, and by my date I mean my mom.
That was your line.
That was
fantastic.
My line. Yeah.
We were gonna do it in college at TCNJ, but it got yanked. I was playing Holly, but also choreographing it, and then it got yanked the rights because it went on tour.
Yeah.
And we were too close to the tour, so then we did Reefer Madness instead.
Oh wow, that's sick. What was that like? I've never seen the musical.
I gotta tell you, it was one of my favorite musicals to be a part of. Got to dance naked on stage. It was I had marijuana leaves taped to my boobs and my crotch, and because I choreographed that as well. We just transitioned the production staff to that new show. It was so fun. I got to wear a blonde wig.
Wow.
And I got to talk like this. And like it was so charactery.
Wow.
And I just loved it. I loved the movie.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a play.
It was such a sick film. Like, just so weird. Very out there. Very like, Evil Dead vibes. Like that whole B movie. What is it? Like those horror films that are just, low budget. Had low budget vibes, but that was like the pure beauty of it. Yeah.
Wow.
Look at you, McCavity.
Yeah. Look at you, Reefer Madness. No, you played the role of my dreams.
Right,
Reefer Madness.
Oh my God. You would totally dig that. It's a musical, but the fact that you're not like heavy on musical theater, I think you'd really enjoy it.
No, that would be kind of sick to have. Maybe we'll put on a production here sometime.
Yo,
that would be kind of
if you
vibes.
freaking do. Yes. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to put on Toxic Avenger. You got to do Evil Dead the musical. That's this kind of stuff. Wow. Yeah. Think about it. Hi.
Do you have any religion in your life? Was that ever a part of your life?
It was. I am not religious. I am spiritual. But it was, I grew up Catholic.
Right. Cool.
But yeah, what I like to say is I took an art history course. I was an art history minor. I was going to be a major in it at TCNJ, but I threw myself into art history and the Metropolitan, and then swiftly learned that religion, nah, not for me.
They paid for some good art to be made.
Yeah. Right. Like, it definitely funded some beautiful things, but it also, other people were funding religion. So I think when I learned about indulgences, I didn't really want to indulge in things of that nature, of those systems.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather seek refuge and community and kindred spirits in just humanity and the belief that humans are innately good, where a lot of religion is based in humans are innately flawed. And I think there's beauty in it's your perspective. Yeah.
So when you're not doing all of this fun, what do you do for fun?
Oh my God!
It seems like you do a lot of fun stuff in your work life. What do you do for fun when you're not creating?
All right, vulnerability here. Full transparency. I'm trying to find what I do for fun.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was part of my rock bottom, was acknowledging that I have no hobbies anymore. And prior to COVID, and then during COVID, so a few years prior to that, I had stopped listening to music.
Oh wow.
And it was just this, I was like, I couldn't even describe it to you. I just stopped listening to my favorite artists. I stopped discovering artists. I didn't care if people, it was so funny too, because I just have this feeling of the memory of people recommending artists to me during this time, and I just didn't give one fuck about it. I didn't, I went, oh, wow, cool, thank you. Never looked them up. It was just this weird, I was combating music. Why isn't this working for me? And then I fell almost, I don't know why I did it. It wasn't a falling out of love with it, because I always loved it. But I was trying to manipulate it so hard and take so much control. And then the more you put control on something, the more you lose yourself. And I was losing, all my hobbies. You know, what do I do for fun? What I've been saying on my tours lately is, have you ever executed fun, but we're not having fun? And I'll get a groan from the audience or whatever. But that's what I teach improv. I'm teaching improv pop-ups now.
Oh, cool.
Very new thing, part of the Yes Anthem that I do. We're on our second one. We're on our third one next month for ultra beginners. And I said, I lost 10 years. You know, lost in quotes. But I was not having fun and I was executing it. So now, recently, I'm getting back into my hobbies, which is painting.
Nice.
Yeah, one day I want an easel. You don't need an easel to paint, but I want to break my paints back out. Both sides of my family had painters in them. My aunt was a professional painter. Yeah, just like the fine arts, I want to bring back as a hobby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've touched on a lot today. I think we've had a great conversation. I appreciate you coming to the Williams Center. Once again, Cat London is going to be on the bill with Nick Stefanacci on November 4th.
Stefanacci.
So we got a singer-songwriter and some sax man teaming up for a wonderful show.
Teaming up.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys are catching comedy, literally tonight, if you guys are listening to this when I release this, I'm going to be at KTB in North Arlington doing Binghamton. So that is bingo and comedy.
What?
I'm going to be doing a set and maybe be in costume, hopefully have some kind of costume.
McCavity.
Maybe we'll bring back the McCavity costume.
Please bring back McCavity. We'll be obsessed.
Hey, the funny thing about McCavity was McCavity had the most elaborate costume in the show. Like,
really?
I had the best costume in the game. Like, it was like orange and like massive manes and like a mask and like the spandex was all like so delicately made.
The tightest.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But then the first half, I was not McCavity because McCavity is only in the second act.
Yes.
So I was just Sweatpants Cat. I was just literally like a gray cat that was just like a grout fit all the way up to here and like barely any like mane. And it was like they were trying to hide.
You had mange? Like you were mangy?
Yeah, no, I was like the cat you find in the dumpster.
Oh my God. And then you become like a complete badass.
For sure. Definitely taught me a lot of how to deal with shame and how to deal with being virtually naked in front of everyone.
Cats will definitely teach you shame. Yeah.
It's a lot for 15, 16-year-old boys to deal with. Yeah.
Wow.
Women too, I'm sure, yeah. It's probably a journey for a lot of people with body image and self-love. And
it never stops. As having been a choreographer, you're always coaching people through that acceptance. Totally. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what's coming up here. Check out williamcenter.co if you're trying to get tickets and come back. Kat, is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with? Anything you have to say? Plugs, where they can find you deeper, where they could follow you for the rest of your life?
Please follow me for the rest of my life. I read something recently that said an artist has to be able to be seen. They have to be comfortable with being seen. And for so long, I wasn't. And my behavior totally reflected that. And now my behavior is the opposite. So catlondonmusic.com. catlondonmusic.com. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, it's at catlondonmusic. catinvegas.com. If you love comedy, if you love comedy and you're curious about comedy, catinvegas.com. Choose art, guys. And big shout out to Nick Stefanacci for bringing us to the Williams Center.
Hell yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back hopefully not as long as in between our last 2 episodes. Thanks, y'all.